Hello everybody. So today we are going to have ourselves a little perfume video, and the video today is a much anticipated, much requested one. I've decided to embark upon actually batching different categories of fragrances together and doing sort of an overview of my favorite fragrances for a certain occasion. I've had so many requests to do things like your 10 most wanted or 10 must-haves, your favorites ever, and I can never do that video. I'm sorry guys, it's not gonna happen, or maybe it'll happen at some point in the future, but not anytime soon, because I use a lot of different fragrances. I am somebody who picks a fragrance based on occasion, time of the year, my mood, my psychological well-being, or what I want to achieve with the fragrance. You know, there's so many factors. And I just don't have 10 favorites. I don't have even 15 favorites. It'll entirely depend on the situation. So that's what I wanted to go with and describe some favorites and like my picks, not really favorites, for a particular situation or occasion, or maybe for a particular category of fragrances. And I think that's a much better way to approach it. And I think that's doable for me. I can do that. And obviously those lists will change as I try more things or my tastes change, because that happens too. And I can only really speak to you about it subjectively. And I want you to share your picks for that specific category. Anyway, today the word of the day is expensive. I want to talk to you about the fragrances that I find, at least at this particular moment in time, my picks as expensive fragrances. Fragrances that smell rich and beautiful and just like make you feel like $1,000,000. Some of them are professionally inclined. Some of them are maybe more romantically inclined, and there is a good selection. I think out of those you definitely will be able to pick something that you actually think is a very appropriate choice for you. Let's start. I mean, most of these are going to be high-end. I'm not going to lie. Well, all of them are high-end. Some of them are closer to mid-market, but they're all high-end basically, because to me it's very difficult to make a very expensive smelling scent on a budget. If you have a nose that can tell the difference, you're going to be able to tell the difference, and I really can't tell the difference. But my first pick is going to be Tom Ford Tobacco Vanille or Eau de Parfum. This is a very safe choice. Within the Tom Ford line of exclusive fragrances, this is the safest choice. Unfortunately, it's exceptionally expensive. Look it up. I don't remember how much exactly. I was lucky enough to receive it as a gift from my husband. Thank you. And I wear it a lot on special occasions. That is a scent that I love for special occasions. It is quite unisex, so men can definitely wear it. It has a softer vanillic magic happening in the background. It's enveloping. It does have a tinge of slightly fruity tobacco to it. It's a rather straightforward scent. It does change on the skin. It wears a very long time. And it's absolutely gorgeous. I love wearing it. I think it's a very special scent, but I think within the line, and I love a lot of fragrances from the exclusive line, this is one of the ones that is actually easy to wear. This one is wearable. It's doable. You can most certainly pull it off. It's not so interesting and intricate and niche that you're going to have a hard time wearing it. Comes with a niche price tag, but you know, the scent itself is actually very, very accessible in the best possible way. Not accessible as in like, it's so common. It's not. It is a beautifully crafted fragrance, and there's a reason why it's very popular. A lot of the ones that I'm going to show you are going to be popular, and some are going to be niche, interesting picks. So bear with me. Number 2 is going to be Coco Eau de Parfum from Chanel. Coco is my personal favorite. I love Coco. I've been wearing it for a decade, not this bottle, but I always get new bottles because I do get through this. I really enjoy Coco. And I think why is this falling into this category of rich, expensive smelling fragrances is because it is such a classic, and it has a bit of a vintage flair to it. It was released in the 80s, so it does fall within that realm. But I think the genius of this formulation is the fact that it is still wearable today. A lot of the fragrances that were released in the 80s were big and loud and out there and are not translating well into the contemporary everyday culture. But Coco does, and you can really dose it to be very, very cozy. It's slightly spicy, it's soapy, and there's something soft and velvety underneath of all of that soapiness and spiciness. and just it smells delightful. It smells like Rothschild would smell like. It smells like a Rockefeller, but like from the 50s. It's really beautiful. It's quite wearable too, and I would encourage you to test it out if you enjoy a slight vintage flair. Then we have Black Phantom by Kilian, a Memento Mori. This one I hauled about a year ago, maybe a little bit more. And this one is a confectionery celebration of a life. This is a gorgeous, I think not appropriate for work, but appropriate for all kinds of illicit activities. This is risque. This is an explosion of olfactory pleasure in my brain. It is beautiful. There's lots of rum and decadence. There's sweetness, a very edible component to it. This is a gourmand, like 100%. That's exactly what it is. And it is extremely decadent. It is tooth-pullingly expensive. It's painful, in fact, to buy this little guy, but I'm going to treasure it and I'm going to use it, and I have been. It is magical and decadent to the 10th degree. It's just, if you want a sweet gourmand that is very contemporary and playful and fun and just thick. It's thick and it can be heavy, but like heavy in a good way. I never like heavy except for when it's in this format. It's a very sexy fragrance. I would say both very sexy and very playful, which creates a beautiful combination for all kinds of hanky-panky activities. Let's move on. Another one that I wanted to mention is a bit less expensive and I think very hard to find at this point. I would imagine it's possible to find. I wish I had a backup. I don't. So I'm kind of careful about how I'm using it. I'm about halfway through this particular bottle. Illamasqua Scarab. It is divine. There's something very romantic about it. It's very plum-based and very, very feminine. Obviously, you can wear whatever you want at any point, but it does lean very, very feminine, if that means something to you. It is plummy and fruity, but fruity in a dried fruit with dried vanilla sort of way. It's not particularly moist in any way, and it is delightful. It is a mood raiser. I think this is a fragrance that is very easy to wear and just easy to pick up. For me, this is a mood booster. If I want to improve my mood, I definitely reach for Illamasqua Scarab. And it does smell expensive. It smells richly fruity. So fruit is very difficult to make smell expensive. If you know La Petite Robe Noire, that's a very, very fruity, berry-based fragrance. And in terms of sophistication of construction, it stood nowhere close to Scarab. I think Scarab is far superior. It has a tame, very sweet, but very elevated plum that really suits itself very well to being a good representative for the fruity, vanillic, also edible, but very, very rich scents as well. Very beautiful, hard to find. I'm going to be very sad when it's gone. I'm going to try to find something similar at some point, but so far I haven't. Let's move on to a Bond number 9 representative here. This is Manhattan. I share this fragrance with my husband, actually. It's about a third gone. And this is an interesting representation of a scent that is quite unisex. I like it on my husband more than on myself, but I recognize very, very well that this is a scent that smells very expensive. Not all Bond number 9 scents tickle my fancy. I like a lot of them. Not all of them, though. This is another gourmand, and I realize I've spoken about a few gourmands now, but we're going to transition out of that very soon. This is probably the last gourmand I'm going to mention. This is a very interesting scent because it does have a little bit of round out in terms of woods and musks. That is there, but that's not what this scent is about. This scent is all about gingerbread, and it smells gorgeous. There's a lot of strength to the smell, and I don't mean in terms of sillage, I mean in terms of just, it evokes a sense of somebody who's powerful, somebody who is proud and influential. And there is a sugariness and sweetness to it, but that doesn't make it girly in any way. That sweetness is like a raw sense of power and creates the same kind of feeling either born on male skin or female skin. It's an impressive scent, and somehow I feel like because of the sense of empowerment that it evokes, it can be worn to the office if dosed appropriately in a very small amount, but it can work for you in that way. Which is why I thought it was a bit of a contradictory scent, because it is kind of sweet, it is gingerbread based, but it is at the same time sophisticated and powerful and confident enough to pull it off and not become the sweetie gritty toothache sort of fragrance. It's very, very pretty if you're after that kind of feel. Bond number 9 Manhattan is pretty gosh darn good. A more affordable fragrance, one of the few affordable ones unfortunately, is Clinique Aromatics in black. I love that release. I love both white and black, but black is definitely my favorite out of the two. This is an ultimate, really beautiful, rich smelling everyday scent. I know that it's black, so it's really supposedly maybe evening time or a bit more heavier. You can certainly layer the two and create your own little concoction, but the black just has something very palpably textural about it that I really like in fragrances. The areas of my personal brain that are probably developed the most are the olfaction and the touch. I'm a very tactile person. You can ask my husband. It reaches weird places sometimes. I basically select most objects in my life on touch, on touch and function. But tactile sensation is very important to me. And whenever there are fragrances that cross that line, you know, between smell and touch and kind of create that sensation of touch when you're smelling something. I don't know if this is a weird explanation or any of you will agree that that can happen. In my brain, smells immediately evoke textures. So texture is something that is very important to me. Fun fact, I choose my food mostly not on taste, but on textural integrity. I enjoy certain textures, hate others, and it doesn't matter as much what food tastes like. It more matters for me what the texture is. Sorry for that little detour, but you know, fun fact. Are you like me, or do you not have any idea what I'm talking about? Back to Aromatics in black. Wow. This scent is a good balance between musks and florals and a bit of vanilla, and it's just a nice round sphere. If I had to pick a shape and a texture, it would be a granite sphere, but it is smooth and slick. It's not heavy, so granite perhaps is not the best. It would be a cool, to the touch, glass sphere, and it's perfect, and it's really, really smooth to the touch. There's something very smooth and pricey about this fragrance. So if you want a fragrance that is an everyday wear, all occasion scent, I think the Aromatics in black is really great, and it's crafted just beautifully. It's a very, very skillful composition. I'm very impressed by it. Another fragrance that I'm very impressed by, and this is probably my favorite so far from their lineup, is Elizabeth and James Nirvana Black. I have recently decluttered the French Grey, which I thought I would be a very big fan of, but I had a difficult time with it. It didn't sit right on my particular skin, and although I liked the scent, I had to let it go because it was just not, it just didn't make sense with my chemistry and with what I was trying to achieve. So better out than in. However, Nirvana Black does work incredibly well with my chemistry. And it is a beautiful, again, strong, I think the feel I get from this and this are very similar in terms of both are powerful fragrances that project confidence. This is gingerbread and sweet. This is not. So they certainly aren't the same in terms of composition. They're not a similar scent, but they evoke the same type of feeling of competence and confidence and the go-gettedness, so to say. Nirvana Black is very patchouli based, which is difficult for me, but certain fragrances I can not only tolerate but enjoy, like this one. So if you like slightly vanillic, strong floral patchouli, that is a very good pick. It has a little bit of a tobacco-like quality, like a beautiful cigar-like quality, and not entirely dissimilar from the Tom Ford. Not to say they're very similar fragrances, but they have that little tobacco twinge that is much more prominent than the tobacco vanille, but is very, very present in the black as well. It is a rounded, beautiful, powerful, and confidence-inducing scent, which is why I think it goes well with the theme. And besides, obviously, the packaging is genius. I love the Art Deco vibe that they went with. I think it sits beautifully in the hand. I like this size the best because of the texture of it and just the comfort of it sitting in the hand. This is perfect. I had a bigger size of the French Grey, and I felt it cumbersome and a little bit clunky to use, but the smaller size is just, I mean, small detail, but I like perfection. What can I say? And it's just designed delightfully. It creates all kinds of warm and fuzzies in my heart because this is very much the style of packaging that I enjoy. Something really slick and beautiful and looks super classic and beautiful. Let's move on. Next, I have two Tiziana Terenzi scents. That might not be everybody's cup of tea, but she does have some pretty remarkable scents in her lineup. We'll start with Ecstasy. First of all, of course, again, the packaging is flawless. So you can see what I like. Not necessarily, it doesn't have to be dark, but it just sleekness. I love sleekness in packaging, and packaging makes a difference for me. I'm not one of those people who disregards packaging when it comes to objects. I love packaging. I love things that are perfect from in every way. Of course, quality is number one. So Ecstasy by Tiziana Terenzi. Oh my goodness. This is a woody fireplace kind of scent. If you know the Margiela's by the fireplace, which I spoke about before in the cards, I'll throw that up. Beautiful scent. And there's something very forest-like and very forest fire-like about this scent. It is coniferous and beautifully ambery and deep and dark and mysterious. Ecstasy is a very mysterious scent. I will definitely spend more time separately talking about her because she is a beaut, and Ecstasy is certainly a pick for a good reason. It smells like it could belong in the Tom Ford lineup, actually. Both of the fragrances from Tiziana Terenzi that I have purchased, I have here. So they are very expensive smelling. They're very rich and well thought through and rounded and just extremely high quality, which lends itself to smelling quote unquote expensive. All right, we're getting closer to the finish line. The next Tiziana Terenzi fragrance that I wanted to mention is Ludano Nero. Ludano Nero. It's on me today. It is a boozy, beautiful unisex bomb of a scent. As I said, her fragrances are very artistic and very niche, and they are niche and they're very beautiful. Ludano Nero, the feel of it's not exactly the same as the Black Phantom, which is right here and also made the list, of course, but it has a kind of a similar feel. It is not as over-the-top decadent. It's not the cornucopia of everything delicious and boozy, but there's a very definite boozy feel to it. It is probably the best coconut rum that you've ever had in a most beautiful, for some reason, whiskey glass and on ice. The boozy aspect of it is shaded with woodiness and some soft edible notes as well, and overall creates an impression of velvet. What does it make me think of? You know that luscious, beautiful, handmade, handcrafted couch made of velvet that sits in a gentleman's club of the 18th century, where people would go and drink liquor that was far more expensive than anything any normal person would be able to afford at the time. And maybe they smoked a cigar at the same time, and that decadent, rich, luxe, textural, velvety feel is very comforting for some reason. And it's a little bit olden days, but like in a modern way. It's a modern interpretation of those olden days. The scent is remarkable. If you like that style of fragrance, you should try it. Then lastly, but not leastly, we have this new bottle of Eau de Marville by Hermes. I have worn through a bottle previously, and then I was reminded of it by getting some samples back, and I have gone through the samples and I decided I needed it back in my life. This is one of my favorite everyday fragrances. There's something very comfortable and comforting about it. There is a very non-metallic, cozy amber to it. There is beautiful musk. It just smells like, in my mind, if I was a lady of leisure who ate only the best things and draped herself in only the best materials and was waited on hand and foot and led the most relaxed, most beautiful life and radiated happiness and contentment, my skin would smell like this. There's something very comforting about it, something that tells me everything will be just fine. Because your life is going to work out, it's going to be all right. It's all going to be all right. That is what Aromatics is telling me. There's something decadent in its seeming simplicity, and it's the lightest fragrance that I'm mentioning here. And there's a reason for that, because I think this is my true everyday skin scent. And I would probably, if I had to smell one particular way for a long, long period of time, I think this is interesting enough and well crafted enough that it would fill the gap and I wouldn't miss having other fragrances in my life, because this is complex. It is seemingly simple and not in your face and not over the top, but it is one of the most elegant fragrances I own, and I love elegant fragrances. This is beautiful, modern interpretation of absolute calm, self-assured elegance. I like it a lot. Do try it out, because it might not wear the same on your skin just because of the ingredients. You know, some fragrances are going to wear a certain way on your skin, and are going to wear a similar way on other people as well. There are certain formulations that stay very intact and consistent. Eau de Marville is going to play around with your skin. She's going to flirt with your skin. She's going to bring out something very special each time you wear it. And on each person, I think this is one of those that smells very different on different people. I haven't come across a person who did not like it, but some people are absolutely in love with it, like I am, because it just suits some people more than others. But for me, this is an extremely expensive smelling scent, mostly because, well, it isn't cheap by any means, but I think it smells more expensive than what you pay for it in dollar amount. You can't really pay for elegance. Elegance is something you either have or not, and the sense of elegance evoked by a perfume is a really comfortable and easy thing to just subscribe to. Anyway, those are my 10 picks for fragrances that I think smell extremely expensive. So if expensive is something that you aspire to or want to wear, one of those will do you good. And I think I will now group them into tiny groups. I think Eau de Marville really stands on its own. In terms of heavier, denser, more compact fragrances, definitely the Tobacco Vanille, the Phantom, and the two Tiziana Terenzi fragrances. Those are super densely packed. These are chests full of smell. You can find so many things in there. It can be overwhelming for noses that aren't used to this of sensation. Then we have sweeter, more feminine, soft, and fruity, represented by illamasqua. Oh, I want to wear that now. I have too much layered on. I'm gonna back off. Then we have probably the Coco and the Clinique, representing sort of everyday, floral, interesting scents. I would group them together. You can definitely wear them on the daily. And then we have the power scents. These are, I think, able to be pulled off in a professional environment if dosed appropriately, but these are confidence scents for sure. And as I said, Eau de Marville is in a category of its own. This is its own little person. And the person is me. That's it for today. I hope it was fun for you to watch my selection of aromas that I find very, very expensive smelling. And leave me down below what you find expensive smelling. That's it for today. See you guys later. Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.